Here we are on Marauder Morning. This will be the longest intro I've ever done for anyone, probably. He's a McMaster football legend, a CFMU legend, a Hamilton broadcasting legend, a new father. And if you've been a longtime listener of the show, you'll probably recognize him because he used to host it. It's Marshall Ferguson. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. I think my voice is deeper from all the whiskey over the last decade since I ended up leaving Marauder mornings. Back when I was doing CFMU stuff, it's funny, sometimes I go back to what I was doing on YouTube and the the videos. It's like, is that me? Because I'm like shaved head, because I'm in like football training mode, and I'm wearing like ripped jeans and a muscle shirt. I'm like, what the hell was I doing? I don't understand half the time. But thank you for the kind intro. I think legend is high praise. I played around a lot of legends, and I was very fortunate to be around a lot of good people that were on the coaching staff there. So that helped me accomplish a lot as soon as I got out of university.
Well, we're not going to accept that political answer. We're just going to go with legend and stay with it there. We're not going to let you spread the credit around.
And by the way, Lindsay Hamilton is the actual CFMU legend. Like, right. She's the one who's actually done something big. Like, she's worked for Disney. She's gone around, done promotional events. She's at Sports Center, and I am the guy who got fired from 1150 in town. So I feel like she's the one who gets the legendary status. If there can only be one, I think we both agree it's Lindsay. Okay.
If we're all measuring ourselves against Lindsay Hamilton, it's hopeless. We're never going to get anywhere. So the legend bar has to be lower somewhere, and I'll set it at Marshall Ferguson. Marshall Ferguson is the legend bar. So yes, you mentioned it. The reason I'm talking to you today is the unfortunate shutdown. I mean, I don't know how you describe it, but the shutdown of TSN 1150, where you worked. Let's just start there. How are you feeling in the days afterwards, following the shutdown?
It's probably unnatural, but I'm glad I have mask on, because I was kind of giggling as I was being told that it was over. And the reason for that is that you understand this as being someone who works at CFMU and understands that like nothing is guaranteed, and it's always difficult to find your footing in media. And it feels like, I'm not going to be the guy who's going to come on here and say there's no jobs, everybody stop doing what you're doing, you're wasting your time and all that. That's not true. There are jobs for people that are talented and create their own path and think outside the box. But we did a lot of that at CFMU when I was there, and I was constantly pushing and trying to find different creative ways to use the medium. And I look back at the preliminary learnings that I had when I was there. It helped shape me. It helped get me the attention to the point where TSN called me. And it's crazy because they basically had two ways that they could have launched TSN 1150. One was to go out and get some big names and pay them a ton of money and launch it big and shiny and brand new, or they could go base budget and get a couple kids out of college. And that's what they did. And I was really lucky because I was one of the people that they got that were kind of that base budget. And it was like, hey, we need people for the station, and you seem to do a good enough job considering the money that we have available. So I got the opportunity. We ran with it. I went from afternoons with Steve Milton to afternoons with Louis B to afternoons with Jim Taddy to afternoons with Louis B and Jim Taddy to afternoons with Steve Milton and Jim Taddy and Louis B to middays until I finally landed at the morning show, which is what I really felt at home in. It just, morning radio is a different vibe. There's more energy to it. It's more of a free space to be able to make people just laugh and have fun. And I loved that. So I got to do that for 3 years on top of the other 3 years. I did 6 years total at the station. And it constantly felt like we were dodging bullets because the media market and the amount of sales that happen right now in different mediums, stuff is evolving right in front of us. And at times I felt like, yeah, you know what, we're going to get squeezed here at some point. So when it happened, I was just giggling because I was just so thankful. It wasn't like laughing at the station or laughing at Bell Media or anything. It was just, I was going, man, I'm about to walk out of here and I can't believe I got to work here for 6 years. This was crazy. I shouldn't have been given this opportunity. I shouldn't have been given these airwaves. I took political science when I was at McMaster. My degree, if you want to call it that, in broadcasting was CFMU, was sitting in that studio and figuring it out on the fly. And most of the time just making an ass of myself. But I was doing it and I was learning and I was developing every day. And then I went from that into getting an opportunity at an actual radio station that was actually, in people's cars and spread throughout. It had the TSN brand and the Ticats and the Marauders and the Bulldogs and so how I feel about it looking back, right from the second I got told, hey, gather your things and head out the door, to where I sit here today, a week later, is just super thankful, because I don't understand how I was given the opportunity to learn. And my boss, Mike Neighbors, who's just the greatest programming director, said to me at when I called him the other day, he goes, look at it as though you just finished a 6-year degree in radio, but you did it on live radio with thousands of people listening to you every day. I'm like, man, when you think about it that way, because I had never gone into education for broadcasting, journalism, any of that stuff, I'm like, it's a pretty badass internship. I got paid a pretty good amount of money to go in and basically be an intern and have a lot of fun with a lot of people. So I have no hard feelings at all whatsoever. I love the opportunity I was given, and I'm excited for what comes next for sure.
Yeah. And then I want to ask you about Twitter. Twitter seems to be the place you've been expressing a lot of yourself on the matter. I highly recommend anyone check out your Twitter over the last week or so. It's been awesome. The movie clips, I have to say, have been fantastic. Step Brothers, Zohan, you got it all in there. It's been awesome. Have you found that people, including other sportscasters and fans of the show, fans of yourself, do you find that they kind of share your lighthearted attitude? What's the response been like from colleagues and fans?
Yeah, it's a great question, because it was something that I had to learn as I grew and I developed. I was really concerned for a long time about everybody liking, because I think when we're in the early stages, we're constantly thinking, well, I have to make every single person that listens to me, I want to hook them and I want them to stay. When my boss, again, Mike Neighbors, incredible guy who helped develop me throughout my time at TSN 1150, he explained to me, he goes, you're not going to make everybody like you. Like, what do you mean? I want to make everybody. He goes, no. The people that don't like you will leave. The people that do like you will stay and be passionate about what you are. And because they're so passionate, they'll make up for the person that left, because they'll bring somebody else with them, because it's word of mouth, right? And so that for me has always been key to what I'm doing. Is I think you have to be true to yourself when you get into this business, because it's impossible to go on air several hours a day and fake it. You will feel like such a fraud, and you will feel like such an idiot by the time the day is done, because you're living this double life in your mind where it's like, what do I actually want to say versus what did I say? Now you got to be, a little bit of a shield against swearing or doing things that are going to offend people unintentionally. You got to have some reservations, but that's part of being on radio. But I would say first and foremost, you just be yourself. And if people like you, they'll stay. And it took us a while, I would say, but we found that audience that wanted to stick with myself and Kyle Mello, my co-host. And so that's why on Twitter, I have a whole different approach to Twitter in the last couple of years than I did for a long time. I used to think that Twitter, again, was about pleasing people. And, the Ticats would sign somebody and I would tweet out analysis, because that's what really mattered. I'm like, man, people don't care. Don't take Twitter seriously. Don't take Instagram seriously or Facebook seriously. I'm like, a little tip for anybody listening to this, whether it's student radio or otherwise, social media doesn't matter. It doesn't, like, nothing about it matters. It's all fake. And the reason I say that is that I had a clip back in October that went viral, had 90,000 likes, and had, it was just insane. It was a picture that I sent out of batting practice for the Oakland Athletics with this orange glowing sky in the background from the California wildfires that happened this summer. And I said, I think this is the picture of the year. This sums it up, because there's cardboard cutout humans watching baseball with no fans in the stands and this glowing orange sky in the background. I'm like, it's just this hellscape, right? And so I send that out and it goes viral. You know what I got out of that going viral?
No.
Nothing.
Zip.
So why are we trying to go viral all the time? It's like, and that kind of changed my thinking on it, where I'm like, I finally cracked the code. I had, 1 million people that saw that photo with my name, and I click on the analytics of it on Twitter, and it's like, you got 40,000 clicks on your profile, and you got 150 new followers, and all these numbers, and I'm like, man, I did it. And then the next day comes and it doesn't matter. So that's why I was like, you know what? Twitter is for people that get me, that get my sense of humor, that get the show that we're doing, that understand how I approach Canadian football. They can be on the inside joke with me when I'm being lighthearted, as you say on Twitter, and everything else. If you don't get it, sorry, you don't get the joke, then you don't have to stick around. That's okay. Don't worry about it. But I think that's, to me at least, I know everybody approaches these things differently. To me, that's the way to approach using social media. I think our generation, and I include you and I in all of this, is we look at social media in such an incredibly unhealthy way. And it's funny too, because we're in this weird divide, right? Where older people that were in their 30s or 40s or 50s when social media came to be, they have this really weird perception of social media where, you know, they're talking to their friends and family members, but they think they can post anything on it. It's like, no, that's not a thing. And then younger people have their complete own way of using social media that I can't wrap my head around how many apps people have on their phone. For me, I'm like, you know what? I like being on Twitter. I don't give a damn about Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, otherwise. I don't need to spread my brand and mass post everything. I'm like, if I'm available and people know where to find me, that's all that matters. We'll go from there.
Right. And then I was going to ask you what's next for you, but you kind of jumped the gun on me this morning. I was going to ask you about Canadian football perspective, if there was anything you could possibly do with that. But you already broke the news. Go ahead and tell us what's going on with Canadian football perspective.
Yeah, I was originally planning to sell my body, and then I ended up. No, I've been working on this project, Canadian Football Perspective, for a while at CF Perspective on Twitter. We're on Instagram, but I don't run the Instagram because it's again, I don't even have the app on my phone. I sound like I'm 60 when I say that, but I deleted it and I was like, I just don't care anymore. But yeah, it was basically when I started working at TSN 1150. So for those that don't know the timeline, I played at MAC from 2010 to 2014.
Right.
And in 2015, I was given a job at TSN Radio, and then I started calling games for the Marauders. And I was the pre and post game host for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And so I was trying to do analysis of the Ticats. And as I was doing it throughout the year, I was realizing very quickly that there's not really good analysis available. Like you don't want to pull off a stat sheet and go, hey, Kevin Glenn's playing tonight. Here's his completion percentage. I'm like, yeah, but what does that tell me? That doesn't educate me on any of this. And so I just wanted to have a smarter conversation, and I wanted to have more information to work with. And I thought, well, if I feel that way, hi, Remy, here's my little labradoodle interrupting the conversation. But I thought if it was possible to have a smarter conversation that would benefit myself, then maybe other people would feel the benefit of that as well. And it's not an ego thing or I'm smarter than anybody thing. I'm not. And I'm not a math guy. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm a dude who played football, who enjoyed playing football, who loves watching football. But I wanted more information. So I started this CF Perspective. It originally actually started as MarshallFerguson.com. And then I also had to push the ego to the side when I was like, nobody gives a damn if it's under my name. So I got rid of the name. I came up with a different name, different branding, all the rest, relaunched it in like 2018 or 19. I forget what it was. And it's just kind of been sitting there. I've had a couple of guys that were doing a podcast for me, Connor O'Neill and Wade Zanchetta, who have done an amazing job with it. And I've always wanted to work a little bit more on it because I feel like there's so much room for growth in that idea of smart football analysis strictly for Canadians, and not just at the CFL level, at the U Sports level as well. I think that there's a great market for that. And I'm interested in seeing the culture of Canadian football as a whole grow, because I think a lot of people look at Canadian football and think, well, it's an old game and it's peaked. It's never going to be any better than it was before. I'm like, man, do you realize that we just started getting basically the things that have existed in NCAA football when it comes to equipment and exposure and television contracts, and all of that stuff has existed for 20 years maximum in U Sports football. It's been around for 50 in the NCAA. And obviously there's a difference in economy of scale with the NCAA so much bigger, just like the NFL is to CFL.
Sure.
Doesn't make it any better, right? It means that it's an underexposed market right now. And again, I'm not a stock trader or a numbers guy, but although buy GameStop whenever possible is what I've heard. But I look exactly, yeah, straight to the moon. But I look at it as being, this is something that people want. I think it's underexposed, and I think that there's a want for a different type of analysis. So I created this Canadian Football Perspective, and my goal was just to have smart conversations and entertaining conversations. And when 1150 hit the dust last week, I decided basically within about 24 hours that was the direction that I wanted to take things, because A, the infrastructure was already there. Right. But B, it's a great product with a great idea, a great concept. And I think that's the heart of any growth industry, is having a great concept that you can use as your base to grow out of. And so I built out, as of this morning, when we're talking, a podcast network, basically, which is, it's the idea behind it is to give people CFL centric morning radio 5 days a week, which even saying it makes me smile, because the idea, it's like having a Sirius XM channel where you open up your car and you all of a sudden, and every single day it's the CFL is there waiting for you, but it's digital. It goes right to your phone and you can download it. And so it's got myself, I'm calling it the A block. Had the Canadian little twist on it, but the A block is going to be on Mondays. And that's going to be basically long form interviews with people. Ettore Latanzio, who I played against from the University of Ottawa, is my guest in an episode that comes out today. Tuesdays and Thursdays is Connor and Wade, and they are doing a show that we're going to call the All Canadians. And then Wednesday is going to be myself and Derek Taylor from 620 CKRM in Regina. He is the stats man extraordinaire that did the details on SportsCenter, was a SportsCenter host. Now he's the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and he's going to end up joining me on this. And then my former co-host Kyle Mello is going to join me on Fridays. And it's great because, Monday is super CFL centric. Wednesdays, super nerdy CFL centric. Tuesdays and Thursdays, Wade and Connor are going to mess around. I have no idea what Fridays are going to be like. And I've worked with Kyle for five years. But the great thing about our show in the mornings on radio was that we'd start the show, we'd think it was going to end one place, and then we would just enjoy wherever it went and have fun. And so we're going to make it Canadian football centric because we have knowledge about this stuff, but we're also just going to have fun. And I hope that people appreciate that they're going to kind of get menu items from a variety of different places. If you enjoy listening to us be stupid idiots and have fun on a Friday, but you hate listening to me interview people because you think I ask dumb questions, great. Don't listen to Monday, listen to Friday. If you love numbers, but you hate stupid fun on Fridays, great. Listen to Wednesdays. And so the whole idea behind it is we'll give you all these options, and we're going to have consistent content that is going to be available for Canadian football fans. And I hope that people enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the thought of it, because I haven't actually done it yet, but it seems like it's been well received thus far.
Yeah, it's a great idea. CFL in the morning 5 days a week is like saying cake for breakfast,
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that? I mean, what you're talking about exists in the States, right? For the NFL in 1,000 different places.
Yeah.
And it's so easy and accessible to get that kind of content. I agree with you. Canadian football is really lacking in its exposure. It's just hard to find things. It's hard to really get analysis, even if you're a casual fan and you just want some basic stuff. So yeah, someone had to do it, and I'm glad it's you, man. It's something I'm really looking forward to tuning into.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And it's the thing that you said there that I always find interesting is when people say, well, it exists in the States, right? Everything exists in the States. Like Pro Football Focus is doing a 10 times better job of what we're doing for analytics when it comes to breaking down the games. Okay, well, we don't have the manpower of $1 million budget, a television studio, Chris Collinsworth backing it, and it, like we don't have that. But there's no reason to say that we can't be a version of that. There's no shame in trying to build out something that is unique, that gives you some of the Pro Football Focus feel on Wednesdays, but it also gives you some radio feels on Fridays, right? And also gives you a unique interview show on Mondays. And I feel like it's exciting for me because I've always wanted to do something unique with Canadian football, because it's such a great game with so many great people that deserve more attention and more love. And I think that there's a bigger audience out there that wants to love it. I just feel like it's been treated so poorly for so long on a variety of different platforms, that if we can give them something that will ignite their fandom, even in a pandemic, coming out of a year where there's been no games, if people are this excited, can you imagine once we get to in season, or we get to a regular year where the calendar goes from December is your start of free agency into January, February is the big free agency show. Then we get into combines in March. The draft is in April, May, preseason training camp, in season. We're riding all the way through. We get to the winter playoffs, and hell, we're back to December. I mean, there's a content mill that is possible there that I feel like has been really undermined thus far. And I hope that people will dive in and subscribe and do everything they can to support it, because if they do, we're only going to give you more. You know what I mean? Like, we're not doing this to get rich. We're just trying to find a way to bring you the best quality Canadian football coverage possible.
Right on. Yeah, there's your mission statement right there. That's perfect, man. So again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days of CFL coverage, courtesy of Marshall Ferguson, Kyle Mello, Derek Taylor. That's going to be awesome, man. We're really looking forward to it. I just had one other suggestion, though, before you broke the news about CFP Perspective. Oh, and by the way, best website in the game, for one reason only. If all of that wasn't enough for you. There is a CFP dog section where
Oh,
there's
I
just
know.
pictures of dogs in CF. Like, come on, like
I am, for the people that are watching on YouTube, you can see the one love that I have here, which is
yes,
my boy Remster. This is my fiance's Labradoodle, who's about 4 years old, who's the most loyal dog in the world. And the other dog that refuses to ever show her face on camera is my Husky Sky. And she is stubborn as can be, but she is as fun as it gets. And yeah, I have some dreams of being able, as I grow out this CFP stuff, to be able to leverage some of the partners and sponsors that hopefully we'll have to be donating food and products and things like that to local SPCAs, and
yeah,
also to be advertising for dogs that have been in shelters for more than a month, that need to get off the concrete floor and make sure they get out and find themselves homes. And that's been a passion of mine that, again, I haven't really been able to mobilize in the things that I was doing, but now with this new outlet, hopefully we can turn some attention of all the people who love Canadian football onto that. And I want it to be this kind of fun house where hopefully we get a beer sponsor on soon, and then we can have the combination of beer and football and dogs. And again, that's my
everything.
heaven. That's my heaven. So I figure it'd be a lot of other people's heaven too.
Perfect. Yeah. If you're gonna create your own job, just create your perfect life, and then
Right.
see if people will pay for it.
Surround yourself with the things that you like, and like-minded people will join up. Is kind of the idea that I have on that. So
That's a philosophy if I've ever heard one. Right on. My suggestion though,
yes.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to do it now because you're tied up with CFP, but I figured this was a perfect time to bring back
Oh,
wearemarshallferguson.wordpress.com.
yeah. What's funny? I was going through that website the other day, and it was 2 days ago, actually. And I was looking for the picture of Edere Latanzio tearing me to shreds,
Yes.
because that was the only place that I knew it existed. That was a weird thing I did, man. I don't know why I did this, but it was the week leading up to the 2014 Vanier Cup, where
Yeah.
we had so much downtime in the hotel that 7 years ago, instead of watching more game film, which I obviously should have been doing, I decided to write out 1,000 word long WordPress articles on how I got to my final game ever. I don't know why I did it. There's a part of me that regrets doing it, but I also kind of love the idea that I was such an idiot in my final week of playing football that I thought that was the priority, which is funny to look back on as well. But yeah, that's a funny one. There's a lot of deep stuff there, and also a lot of stuff that I'm sure if I actually read the articles now would probably embarrass me. But regardless.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't read all the articles. I read one, maybe skimmed through the rest. But hey, did you even like realize you were training yourself for your media career to come up?
I
I
was
mean,
hoping. I was hoping.
right.
I wasn't sure what was around the corner at that point, but it's again, sometimes you do the things that you really enjoy, and sometimes they turn into a career, right? And
Right.
I've been crazy, crazy lucky, whether it's been at TSN or working with Canadian Football League, otherwise, where they see the passion that you have and they call you.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen a whole lot, right? There's a lot of us that have to reach out, and it's 50 resumes. And I've been very, very privileged in that sense, where the opportunities have been given to me, and I'm looking forward to battling for future opportunities and whatever comes my way. But it's that I think that's part of the reason why the first question you asked about how it's going after 11:50 shutdown. It's why I giggled, man. It's why I walked out the
Right.
door with a smile on my face, because I know how fortunate I have been, and I think having that appreciation is a really, really important part of kind of what has made me thus far throughout my career.
Yeah. Hey, that sounds like a good place to leave it. It sounds like you said it all. Marshall Ferguson, check him out on Twitter at Marshall Ferguson. Oh, there she is.
There you go. Yep, she made an
Perfect.
appearance. How about that, Sky? Yeah, way to
What an
go. There.
what an ending. Great spot to leave it. Check him out on Twitter. Make sure you check out Canadian Football Perspective. 5 days a week CFL coverage. What is not to love? Thank you so much, Marshall Ferguson. I felt like I kind of should have let you host the thing. It's more your show than mine, I think. But there you go. That's Marshall Ferguson. Thank you once again, man.
Yeah, thank you, Duncan. I appreciate it, and all the best moving forward. And hey, keep the CFMU brand strong for me, okay?
Amen. See you soon.